Ecommerce and stuff. Hello?
Hello, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hey Bilal, how's it going?
Good, good. You tell me.
All good, looking good, man.
All right. Do you want to just introduce yourself and just to everyone who's watching, where you're calling from, who you are, and everything?
Definitely. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Malik, and I'm from the Ecoms team. Ecoms is an online platform for you to create, manage, and grow your online store. And we're excited, Bilal, to have this session with you today. Um,
Thank
you
you.
know, to educate merchants as much as
Yeah,
possible on the best practices to manage an e-commerce business from scratch.
absolutely. I mean, e-commerce is just a new way of. I mean, it's just a new way, especially because of Corona and everything. It's just that everyone wants things delivered to them. Nobody wants to go out. So because of
Exactly.
that, it's on the rise at the moment.
Definitely. So what
So
we
yes,
will
this.
be talking about basically today is how to take the right business decisions for an e-commerce store, especially
Yeah.
with what has been happening lately with the pandemic and all the external factors that a small business might be affected by. It's getting sort of crazy on how to take these decisions. That's why we need your opinion as a business consultant on how to organize your thoughts, what you
Yeah.
should take into consideration, and
Yeah.
if you would put yourself in the shoes of an e-commerce owner, what would you
Yeah.
do? Starting
Well,
off with the coronavirus. So,
okay.
what are the decisions that you would take as an e-commerce business
Yeah.
for the with the COVID-19 situation? How is it affecting?
So I think it affects a lot of businesses in terms, especially those who are physical retail, who are in generally any industry in terms of when it comes to selling particular products. But when you said e-commerce, so their sales have technically risen over this time. So according to statistics that I was going through, especially on when I was kind of consulting many different companies, was that from what they were, I mean, in the entire retail sales worldwide, e-commerce or e-sales were accounted for about 14.1% worldwide. But now, due to this whole situation, it's going to continue growing, and by 2023, it's going to go up to 22%. So that's a massive shift from 14.1 worldwide all
Yeah,
the way to 22. So I think Corona has, I mean, I don't know if I want to say this, that it's been a blessing, but it's not. But it's been a blessing for the e-commerce industry
yeah. From the business perspective of things, of
from
course.
the business perspective.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, like the consumer
Yeah,
behavior, it has
yeah,
changed a lot. People
yes.
are spending more time on their phones. They're trying to live a digital life
Although,
because
Malik,
they
there's
can't
one
really
thing I
have
just
the
want to
physical
add.
life. Yeah,
There's that there was a bit of a dip in the e-commerce when everything has shut down and deliveries, as in terms of shipping was restricted. At that time, it did have a significant drop. But ever since they opened up shipments coming from abroad and going to other countries, that's when it actually started going up.
yeah, yeah. What we
Sorry.
noticed as well, man, is that in KSA and UAE,
Yeah.
like the people have been spending more time buying online and trying
Yeah.
to navigate items rather than going to offline stores, and increased by around an average of 80% in these locations. So
Yeah.
this is a number that business owners should also take into consideration in case they're still offline. It's an opportunity for them to start an online business. And
Yeah.
speaking of this process, digitization.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? How should it happen? Why? And how do you see the process happening
I
from
think
for
I
a
think
business?
online shipping, oh sorry, online shopping was already something that was, people had already gotten used to. It was something that at least in the developed world, people were getting a hold of it. Now it's kind of come into in contact when it comes to the developing world, or when it comes to, even third world countries, that people are starting to kind of get a hold of these things and saying, well, look, we need to start doing more digital things and get technology on board. So when it comes to, I mean, for example, retail e-commerce sales, by this year, it is said that they are going to reach up to 4.13 trillion dollars. So you can imagine how massive it is growing, and especially when it comes to digitizing, that's what we're discussing is that everything now is so digital. Whether it's not just buying, whether it's banking, whether it's ordering food, whether it's anything, everything is so digital that if a brand or if a retail store is not on e-commerce, they are going to be left far behind in sales. Especially when it comes to majority of things. For example, look at Noon. Namshi, you look at Souk. Well, Souk is now Amazon. Amazon. So you look at all these companies and you realize that they're doing really, really well, and that's primarily because they have gotten things much ahead of anybody else online. And those companies, as I said earlier, have not are are reducing their chances of actually anyone buying, because people don't really nowadays want to go out at all. People don't even want to. People go to the mall nowadays just for the tourism side of things. They don't even go to the mall to buy anything. So people just go there and hang out and come back. When majority of the shopping is actually done online because bargains, sales. So there's brands that the reason why they should go online also is because they're going to be saving a lot of cost when it comes to the physical retail stores, which means that they're able to bring in discounts and reduce the cost of their products, which means there's a higher chance they're going to sell more products and get more profit at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Because if
yeah.
they're not online, they're going to be spending a lot of money opening stores above stores.
Yes, definitely. What, in your mind, what are on a high level, of course, the
Yeah.
success factors for an e-commerce business versus the failure factors?
So factors that you mean in terms of that help in terms of e-commerce?
Yeah, I mean, the variables
Yeah.
that need to be there for an
Yeah.
e-commerce business to succeed.
Well, the first thing is obviously having like a proper high-end website and making sure that your systems are in place. Then having options for making online payments, having all of that stuff done. Then social media is a very big contributor or factor towards e-commerce as well, is because if you have a good website, if you have a good system, but you don't have proper social media marketing, you're not going to sell anything. And
Mhm.
if you even have good social media marketing, but you have a terrible website, you're still losing sales. So these kind of
Yes.
factors go hand in hand, but then it also goes on to your physical delivery company that you've partnered with, or whether you're doing it on your own. So when companies normally do it on their own, they save a certain amount, but they're risking the customer service. They're risking
Mhm.
that customer experience of getting that product delivered. When we're talking about partnering with someone such as DHL, FedEx, Aramex, so what happens at least in that way is it's going to reach on time, but it's going to cost the company. So in order to be successful, they have to consider the short costs to improve their long-term profits. If they're going to reduce their costs now, just because they're like, okay, we're going to keep making some money and stuff, they're going to lose customers in the long run, and they're going to lose that profit in the long run. So I
Yeah,
think these are the few factors: social media, website, proper payment system, and their delivery.
yeah. And speaking of costs, man, um, the physical business versus the online business have different cost analysis because the
Yep,
variables are different as well. What are the
absolutely.
major costs that disappear when you go online?
Major costs, you're saving on your rent, for starters. You're saving on the inventory coming in and going out. You don't have to do much of that. Then you're also saving a lot in terms of the employment. I mean, I know this is a time where employment is already low, and I shouldn't be pushing the fact that you're going to be reducing employment, but at least it saves if you're a startup. If you're a
Yeah,
big brand, then you can retain those employees.
mhm,
But
yeah,
if you otherwise you're starting off, then you don't need a huge bunch of employees, such as supervisors or managers or anything, because everything is so digital that they're just going to order and you're going to ship it out,
yeah,
unless it's a very major brand. Another thing I think is that you're looking into so yeah, that's so the employment, the rent, and you're also looking into like the utilities. I mean, you're not paying electricity, you're not paying any the aircon, you're not paying for that, and then also you're saving on the stationery, you're saving on extra small miscellaneous expenditures that you would if you have store upon stores. So if you're
yes,
not focusing on e-commerce, you're just going to constantly keep spending every month. You're going to have a high cost of goods sold than you're going to
yes,
actually earn.
yeah. So if you add up these costs that would disappear, if you invest in
I
half of
think the
that
brand would
cost,
disappear if they add up these costs.
yeah. So like investing in a good website would make up for all of these variables that
See,
just
the
disappeared.
thing is, people often, especially startups, they assume that okay, if we pay so much money on the website, it takes a lot from our capital. We're not gonna be able to survive. But later, do they realize is that the more that they spend on proper structuring of their website, it's gonna affect. Again, everything is about the long run, especially when it comes to technology. You do something now, and it's gonna keep you sustainable for like the next 3 to 5 years. So if they don't spend on the website, which a lot of businesses do, they're like, it's fine. We've got our social media. They can see what's happening. They'll order it. But that is why it is often recommended to have an external consultant show these people that. And that's what we do. So we essentially show them that, look, if you have this right now, if you're going to pay a large amount of money to have a proper website, more than half of your stuff is done already, because now you know that you can direct people to a website that is a higher chance that they're going to buy something. Because it's all about aesthetics, it's all about appearance. Even e-commerce, if you have the right photographs, if you have the right products, if you have the right pricing, if you have the right layout of your website, there's a higher chance someone's actually going to buy something than someone who's going to go to your website and be like, they don't seem legit, I don't know if I want to. Or I tried to make the payment, but it came in error, so I don't know what to do. So these things are something that especially new businesses or even existing major brands need to keep in mind, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, any small dropout would
Because the thing is,
kill the
most
customer
online
experience.
customers, they prefer to pay by credit cards. No one really does cash anymore. And the thing is about, like, there's 51% of online shoppers, they use smartphones. If your website or if your products are not mobile, like if they're not smartphone friendly, or if they're not if you're not able to properly see it on your phone, there's again a very less chance that someone's going to go to your website on your laptop and buy it.
Yeah, we always have our phone, and we're navigating throughout what to buy and so on. So all the users or store owners need to make sure that their store is mobile responsive and it loads fast. There's no drop off at any point in time, especially during payment or setting the shipping options. Speaking of these stores, man, in your mind, what are the industries that are booming nowadays for new entrepreneurs?
I think the tech industry, obviously, for starters, it always has been and it always will continue to be, because everything, as we discussed earlier, is moving to tech. Another industry is the health industry, especially due to the current pandemic. The health industry is going crazy. Then finance, not so much, because everyone's losing, not people have enough buying power. So it's mostly just tech. It's mostly import export because of the e-commerce. And then it has a lot to do, now it is import export. It wasn't during the lockdown and the quarantine. It is booming now. Then the health, and then when we come to, if I'm not mistaken, the now it's probably, actually no, I think it's just these three. I can't even say restaurants, because there's going to be a while until they start making proper profit. Even when it comes to bars, when it comes to hospitality in general. Hotel industry, by the way, they might have some, only so far in the UAE, because tourism opened up here. When we look into, for example, we look into Lebanon, when we look into Pakistan, we look into the UK, hotel industry are still we're not too sure, because tourism is not opened up, people are not coming, I don't know what's happening, the borders are closed, even Saudi for that matter. But when you come to Dubai, because they recently opened up, hotels now, the industry has something to look forward to. So I would include the hotel industry, but only in the UAE for that.
Bilal, a question that we've been receiving recently is retail versus wholesale. Is it advised for a wholesale business to have an online store and have the operation go through that?
Yes. I mean, look at Alibaba, for example. So there's few brands that have gone online, especially for wholesale, and it's worked amazing, because even if, let's say, wholesale don't have a website, they don't have e-commerce, you're still less likely going to want to, especially in the situation, go out and get all of that. So wholesale has always been some place where, restaurateurs, hoteliers, or any one of these entrepreneurs would go to get a lot of their products in bulk, right? That's the whole point, bulk. But if you can get all of that bulk online for lesser cost, or whatever it's going to cost you to go there, they're more likely to get that done. And there's the thing is, people, if you don't have the e-commerce for the bulk orders and you have to go out, you're probably going to do a less frequency, which again means that your profitability is going to be lower. If you do make it more so anything that makes things more convenient at this point in time, anything that saves money, and anything that makes it less time consuming, people are going to pay for that, and that is what's going to boom. If you're going to make it difficult, if you're going to make people come to you, if you're going to get them to spend more time and more effort, there's a very less chance they're going to actually pay money for that.
Yes, we receive, like, a counter answer to that. which is we need to then adapt to the consumer behavior, which is mostly around using WhatsApp for
Yep.
communication, WhatsApp for
You
buying. They don't
People
really
do that
have,
on WhatsApp. You would be
yeah.
surprised. People actually sell on WhatsApp too. But the only thing is it's not efficient enough. You might have orders coming in on WhatsApp, you might have all these things, but you're gonna have to manually put all of those things together. As an e-commerce website, you're gonna be able to have everything centralized. The moment someone places an order, you have a system, you have your lists ready. You don't have to go out of the way. So the more time you spend on preparing and organizing your materials and your orders and your invoices and everything, the less time you're gonna have to actually give a customer a proper customer experience. So it's more so to do with how can you make your own life easier as much as making someone else's. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't recommend selling on WhatsApp. I would, yes, recommend keeping a communication on WhatsApp with your customers when it comes to delivery, when it comes to placing the order and all of that, but not so taking the orders, because then you're going to have to employ a huge number of people, which is going to be a more cost on your company to get them to organize it for you, and that's just a longer process. So you can
So
cut short a lot of the process with e-commerce.
yeah, so using it more as a customer success channel rather than acquisition channel.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, see, the thing is, even if you get feedback on WhatsApp, there's less likely of a chance for it to be recorded, or there's a higher chance for it to be misplaced. For example, around 53% of online shoppers left a review on Amazon. So 53%, that's a huge number, have actually left reviews. So we know that it's recorded. It's on the website. You can see it. But the moment they publish it, it's there. But when you look into WhatsApp, I might get something, but I might, as human as I am, I might forget to pass it on. I might forget to put it on the website. I might forget to let my superiors know that, okay, we've gotten a review. So because you're dealing with so many orders, it's humanly exhausting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of options come into play here, man. Another option that is also out there is the marketplace option. So selling
Yeah,
on Souk, or for example, if you're an F&B business,
yeah,
on Zomato, on
yeah,
Otlub in Egypt, for example, or in any
yeah,
other marketplace, versus
yeah,
having your standalone independent online store.
yeah.
As a business, how do you take such a decision? Because both would work. You'd be selling on both, but why does it differ from one business to another? And how do you take this on?
So in terms of whether they should be, in terms of like the same business having e-commerce and a physical store.
Yeah, I mean, how is it
Okay,
different from one business to another? To
I
to
think
to sell on a
it
marketplace or
varies.
standalone?
It definitely varies. I mean, retail is probably the biggest reason why someone would buy online, and the biggest reason why there should be more e-commerce than more stores. But when it comes to other industries, let's say the hospitality industry, obviously they don't really have too much to do with the e-commerce. It's more so to do with reservations and booking. When we look into other industries, whether it's let's say it's movies. Let's say we're going to the cinema, right? They have an e-commerce in the sense that you're purchasing a ticket. So e-commerce doesn't just come into buying retail stores. It doesn't only mean in terms of buying proper products, but you're actually buying something online. That itself is e-commerce. So for example, the cinema industry, yes, it's more likely that the people are going to buy online when you look into it. See, Amazon doesn't need physical stores because there's no point of having a physical store when they're most and all of in fact all of their sales are online, and people are more likely buying that because it's coming to them. So the number one reason why consumers they decide to do online on a marketplace is because of the price tag. It's cheaper for them to buy online than it is for them to physically buy it. Now, for example, the same product, let's say we take a look at one of the rings I'm wearing. So the same ring on ground would cost me about 60 dirhams. But on e-commerce, it would probably cost me about 40 to 45. So you see the significant drop, not just because that the ring is cheap, but because of the fact that they're saving costs that they're charging on you for having it in the retail store. But if you're
Yeah,
able to sell it online, you don't have those costs. So you can significantly drop that without affecting your profit.
yeah. I mean, there's a question that we always receive, man, and many of our e-coms stores, they debate whether they should go to a marketplace
Yeah.
or not. Is there a specific industry in your mind that it's better off to go to a marketplace because they sometimes think that it
Mm.
would be more of a marketing channel for them? For example, Zomato would be a marketing channel for the food business.
Yeah.
Maybe Marca VIP would be for the fashion stuff. So can they use these marketplaces as marketing channels?
Uh, mm, You mean in terms of if Zomato can use other e-commerce, or do you mean Zomato
No, and
itself using as a platform for the companies that are logged in with them?
no, if the company is featured in Zomato,
Okay.
can use
Yeah.
Zomato as a marketing
It
channel.
definitely makes a difference. I mean, if you're, for example, if you're relevant to that particular industry and you're on that app, people are watching and people are ordering through that app. If they see what you are as a company, there is a higher chance they're going to actually order from you because they have that visibility. So it caters for that particular industry. It caters for that particular um, group of people that you're targeting, the group of audience that you're targeting. So if you have if you have that visibility, you're going to sell. So I definitely would agree to that. So some of the industries that yes would should go, one should be the food. They're already doing that. They should probably work harder on that, in my opinion. Then when we look into retail, they're already doing a very good job of that. We should, when we look into, I guess, the medical industry, even in that, let's say pharmacies. A lot of pharmacies do have e-commerce, but they're not very active on their e-commerce stuff. And I think that's something, especially in the Middle Eastern region, you rarely see people ordering from pharmacies online. They're either going to call them up or you're going to go physically. So I think that's one industry that is yet to discover proper e-commerce. I mean,
Yeah.
there are many different protein places. There's gym, products and everything, health products and fitness products that are online, but they're not pharmacy. They are selling. They're doing a really good job, but pharmacy is a whole different situation. Now, I don't know whether that is because you need a prescription every time you buy, or what the situation for that is, but pharmacies have other products that do not need prescriptions, and they can be used by e-commerce for sure. Because
Yes, like
people, let's say you have to
vitamins and
search
so
for,
on.
yeah. So I mean, if you have to go for vitamin, you're gonna have to go to now a health and fitness website, or you're gonna have to go to Amazon or something like that because, well, apparently your local pharmacist doesn't have a website, for example.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, all of these points you've been mentioning, Bilal,
Yep.
for the past around 30 minutes, and they're the sort of variables that any e-commerce owner should take into consideration when he's managing and running an online business, you know. And this is
For
where
sure.
consultation comes into play. So what is the importance of working with a consultant or at least an advisor, someone exterior to give you some advice?
The thing is, when you start up your new business, when you're in a startup, you don't tend to see a lot of the factors or a lot of things that you're doing wrong. You think whatever you're doing is probably the best that can possibly be based on your experience from who you've spoken to, or your experience based on the other surrounding people you've seen. Little do a lot of people realize is their actual story or their actual background on how their path was. Because people don't really open up about these things, especially in startups. So what happens is having an external consultant is more like it's a very frenemy kind of relationship. You get what I'm saying? So it's like a someone who's going to be very blunt to your face about how your business is going, but they're also very they're very considerate as to whatever happens or whatever advice is given. Obviously, is in line with your company getting more profit or becoming a bigger or a better company. So I
Mhm.
guess any startup or any company that pops up or anything in that industry or side of things tend to want to be from startup. They want to move up. Their aim is to become a unicorn.
Mhm.
A
Yes.
billionaire company in the industry. So to get there, you do need someone who you can trust. Will tell you what's wrong with your product and what are some of the things you need from a outsider's perspective, from a third person. Now, as an e-commerce, someone who is an e-commerce consultant or even as a business consultant, you would tend to make sure that the business understands their needs, understands their audience, because a lot of people start the business, but they have no clue who they want to target. They think, well, look, I have a product, I just want to sell it. I don't care who buys it. This is what I think. But then again, that's their assumption. That's something that they assume. So for someone who's seen the market, who's seen businesses, start and fall, who's seen businesses, go bankrupt, or seen businesses who've gone up to becoming unicorns, consultants tend to be able to kind of read through the lines and go up, because the thing is, when you start a business, it's your passion, it's your baby, it's something you want to really nurture. But sometimes even in parenting, you tend to go overboard without realizing that you're doing more than you should, or you tend to realize that you think is good for your child, but it might not be. So same applies for businesses. Is that well, that's where the consultant comes in. Is the consultant tells you, look, this is wrong, that needs changing, and this needs changing because according to the market, it is this, 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 and this. And we believe that these are some statistics that show, and doing the market survey essentially for the company and making sure that they're able to stand on their feet. Because, yeah, consultants don't need to lie. They don't need to tell the company, oh, you're amazing, because that's what they're paid for. That's what our job is, to tell the company, look, there are flaws. You need to fix them if you want your profits to go from here all the way to here. So yeah, and I think having a consultant is a very, very important thing, especially when it comes to resources. A consultant is able to provide a company resources such as investors, such as you're able to provide a company with facilities in terms of their templates, their organization, internal structures, hierarchy. You're even able to, when it comes specifically just to e-commerce though, you're able to help them understand the aesthetics of a website, the systems that are required for the e-commerce to succeed, the things that you need to make sure that people have a more better UI and UX, a better user interface and user experience, so that your customer comes in but they don't abandon their cart. Because on average, when you're shopping online, I'm not sure about you, but I've done this a lot of times. If I've gone to a store, and what I've done is I've put things in my cart, but then okay, I've had to go. Okay, I've gone. I haven't looked into it, or I completely forgot about it, or I'm like, you know what? Maybe I just don't need it, right? So there's about 68.8% of average shoppers tend to abandon their cart. So that's the major chunk that people or entrepreneurs should focus on when it comes to bringing clientele to their website. Now they need to, so what consultants also do, especially e-commerce consultants, is that they gather that statistic from your website and have a read in terms of why they abandoned it, what age group abandoned it, what were some of the products that they abandoned, and how can you redirect them to come back to the website. So there's technical stuff there that only an e-commerce consultant, because see, again, as an owner, you have a vision, you have a goal that you want to do, and that's why you hire people to bring that goal to life. And that's where an external consultant comes in and says, look, your goal's awesome, your people are doing great, but you're missing out this little aspect. Maybe put some focus onto that. And so they bring that into the business. And again, they're just a consultant. So they're an external consultant. They're not going to be there forever. They're only there just to make sure that you succeed, and then they're on to the next project.
Exactly, man, 100%. I mean, the most important thing is to get advice and consultation on how to take, how to go through your e-commerce journey, because a lot of variables come into play. All the variables that we've talked about so far, they're very important, and they exist in any e-commerce business, really. So what we're trying to do here, man, we're trying to encourage young entrepreneurs and existing businesses to digitize and go online. So this is why at Ecommerce we've been doing these Instagram live sessions to educate these merchants as much as possible.
I think people who are watching, and anybody who had watched, and if you're going to watch this again on the IGTV that I'm going to put this on, just know that if you are, just as Malik just mentioned, if you are starting up, if you are an entrepreneur who's who's going through a budding startup at the moment, whether it's whatever industry you're in, and if you feel you do need e-commerce, I will put their link in the title, so you guys can have a look at ecoms and see how they can assist you when it comes to creating your e-commerce website or even your marketplace. Because as we discussed in this entire time of its importance and its value, and how it is really, really crucial to have a properly made e-commerce site. You could do it for free, you could do it online, you could do it by yourself, but can you guarantee that you're going to have that user experience, or you're going to be able to, be able to burden a heavy load when you get all these shipments? Because obviously that's your goal. You want all these people coming in and ordering. But what if your system crashes? You can't guarantee that. So that's where I think e-commerce comes in. Correct me if I'm wrong with it.
No, exactly, man, 100%. I have two more points I want to mention, man, to add what you're saying. We've put together a promo code dedicated for you, Bilal. Bilal Said Official 20 for 20% off creating an online store in e-coms. So everyone, please, just to build on what Bilal just mentioned, please feel free to check out e-coms and build your online store there, and you get a 20% discount on your subscription.
What's the code?
Right. It's Bilal Said Official. It's exactly your Instagram handle.
Okay. So again, my Instagram handle, if you remember if you go through my Instagram handle, please do remember my username and just put that onto their website for, I think, 20% off.
Yes, so it's your username.
That's huge. Just
20 next to it.
I mean, if a product is costing you thousands and you're reducing 20%, that's still kind of cutting off a lot of thousands.
Yes.
Uh,
So there's this promo code that everyone can benefit from. And if anyone would like to recap on what we have been talking about, I'll prepare in bullet points a quick brief, a summary for what we've been discussing, Bilal. And
yeah,
everyone, please feel free to request it from Ecommerce through our Instagram DMs. Just send us a message
amazing.
and we'll send you the recap by email. And this is for me, Bilal. I want to thank you for your time. Is there anything else
Thank
you'd
you
like
so
to
much.
mention?
In fact, yeah, I mean, before anyone goes out, the way Malik just mentioned, DM them if you need that information. If, however, you forget their name, which I can't see why, because it'll be in the title, but in case you do, you can reach out to me too, and I'll forward it to them, and I'll make sure that they're in touch with you. Because trust
Excellent.
me, this is one investment that you definitely need to do. This is one investment that you cannot cut short on, because if you do, you are putting your brand or your company on the line in the long run, for sure.
Great, great. Thank you, Bilal.
Awesome.
And
Thank
I
you
want
so
to thank
much,
all the
Malik.
viewers for joining us today. Have a great one.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you
Bye.
so much.